Okay, I wanted to go over the different visa-free travel in the different countries in the Caribbean for the fast track programs. And then I want to go over some things with you on new changes that the EU is basically going to leave as a responsibility for the fast track programs in the Caribbean to do. If these programs don't comply with this, they could go in and just basically put a lot of pressure by eliminating the Schengen countries for these different passport programs, which could really decimate the programs. Now, St. Kitts is the only one that's complied to doubling their rate. That's one of the requirements they're having. So if you're thinking about going in one of these programs that's outside of St. Kitts, you might want to go in it sooner rather than later because they're more than likely going to double the program or at least go up on it. But as I mentioned to people before, St. Kitts has a lower government fee today on the real estate option than they did in 2006. When they went up on the donation option, they didn't do anything with the real estate government fee, which is the lowest around. It's only 20. In other words, your only government fee for one person to get the real estate option for St. Kitts program, which St. Kitts has the most visa-free travels of any of the fast track programs, is $25,000 US. In 2000, I went back to the records and saw in 2006, to give you an example, it was 30,000. Excuse me, it was 35,000 for the primary back in 2005, 2006. So we're looking at today, it's $10,000 less than what it was back in 2005. That's that's 18 years ago, okay? And if you compare it with the other programs, it kills the other programs. Now, I've always told people when you do a comparison on these programs, go with a program where you're going to pay the least amount in government fees. I mean, it's not really a complicated formula. I mean, that's what you want to be doing. Anyway, let me go through the visa-free travel in these countries, then I'm going to give you the requirements the EU is putting on these different countries, and then you can more or less go from there. St. Lucia has the lowest number of visa-free or visa-free on rival countries and territories at 138. Dominica's got 143, Grenada's got 145, Antigua 150, St. Kitts 154. Now remember that St. Kitts and Antigua are the only ones that don't have an income tax of these countries. So if you need to really take that in consideration. Also, if you're planning on moving to the country and possibly having a business, Antigua does require the owner to pay in for Social Security. St. Kitts does not. If you really want to start narrowing this down even further, okay? And St. Kitts's government fee for the real estate option is cheaper than Antigua's, okay? And that's what I would be looking at. And I'm going to tell you something I know from experience. The property values have doubled in St. Kitts just over the last few years. I know that's a fact. And the prices on property in St. Kitts are around 58 times less per square foot than St. Bart's is. And I can see St. Bart's out of my window on a clear day. But that's what you're going to have to look at. Now, let me give you an idea of some of the actual changes the EU is actually expecting these different countries to come out with. Now, some of them will probably play Russian roulette with the EU, but this is the key right here. You see what happened with Vanuatu. Vanuatu had warnings over and over again from the EU, okay? They didn't clean up their act. They had some people that showed up on Interpol, and they ended up canceling all the Schengen countries, just immediately canceled. They didn't say anything, they just canceled them, okay? Now, Vanuatu's passport's like mud and crap. It's worthless, pretty much. I didn't think it was a good passport before because it was overpriced. It had less visa-free travel than the fast-track programs in the Caribbean. But now, look what happened with Dominica. Dominica played around with the visa, okay? Instead of when they were offering these passports, they didn't vet these people good enough. And some of these people, all they had to do is ask them if they had been canceled, if their visa had been canceled or refused to the UK, and then just check it. Just make a phone call and check it. They didn't do it. And several of these people were showing up as people that the UK had canceled their visa or refused to apply. And so guess what happened? Immediately they lost visa-free travel to the UK. It could take years or maybe never before they get that visa-free travel back to the UK again, okay? So what's going to happen is if you get the passport from these ones that have not complied, St. Kitts did apply. They jumped when the EU told them, you're going to have to double your rate, okay, which they did. But what they didn't do is they didn't do that for the real estate option, but they did for the donation option. The real estate option, they kept that man real low. That's still really nice and low. You're not going to find any second passport with a visa-free travel that you can get this quick in the world for $25,000 for one person on the government fee. That's exactly what St. Kitts is offering, okay? All right, now, these are the things, the changes that the EU allege issuance of 6 demands that the citizenship by investment countries comply with. And that is mandatory interviews of all applicants, also enhanced due diligence on all applicants. And what's happened is St. Kitts immediately went up on their due diligence fees from $7,500 on the primary to $10,000. You're going to see the other ones do the same thing. And you're going to see them going up on their fees also. Now, if they don't do it, you can end up with a dud passport, because if you lose a lot of visa-free travel because they didn't jump and do what the EU was telling them to do. Now, you might say, well, Tom, why do they need to do what the EU is telling them what to do? Isn't this a sovereign country? Yeah, it's sovereign, but they don't want to lose their visa-free travel. I mean, that's stupid. You know, these countries can come in and just say, hey, you can't visit our country anymore unless you get a visa. So, I mean, these are the type of things that they've got to be looking at. So St. Kitts jumped. They ended up doing this so they won't lose that visa-free travel. That makes it a lot better program. And again, stick with the real estate option. I've told you that. It's $25,000 government fee for one person. You're not going to find a better deal than that. That's I'm telling you, don't go with the donation option. Go with the real estate option. It's $25,000. You're not going to find a better deal than that, okay? And go with the properties. I'll tell you, right now is a great time when the dollar is real high, because that's when the dollar drops, that's when these different currencies go up against the U.S. dollar. When the dollar drops, it's a lot cheaper to buy properties in St. Kitts at that point. And that's when the properties went through the roof from 2000, 2008, when the dollar plummeted back then. So this is the time to be doing it. And all these countries surrounding St. Kitts, they're a lot more expensive. But these are some other things too, is they're going to have in-person collecting of citizenship documents, no third-party involvement in transfer of funds, and no use of visa-free Schengen for marketing purposes. And again, if you pay for all this money and then you lose all this visa-free travel, what good is it? It's just basically money you've thrown out the window, okay? But I've told you how to keep your costs down low. And by the way, too, I think I mentioned to you before, we've got a developer who is, you can either go on a pool, where they've got a good rate of return on the pool program, or you can actually go into a lease option where they'll actually pay you the rent all up front before you make it, okay? And that money you're going to get paid up front for the rent. We did some figures today, more than pays for the government fees and all the other fees that you got just right as soon as you sign the lease back. You get that money up front, okay, which covers all your other fees. So basically, all you're paying for is the real estate because of all these fees you're getting for the rental, okay? One reason they can do this is they've got real good contracts and they keep a real good occupancy rate. Anyway, folks, if you want to learn more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and just ask for some help. Also, if you're thinking about taking a trip to St. Kitts, you might want to check with us because we have a developer that will actually pick up all of your, not your travel costs or your food costs, but your hotel bill. I'll have to give you the details on how they'll do that. They'll actually pay for you, your wife, and your kids up to 1 month. You don't have to stay up to 1 month, but they'll cover up to 1 month. But I'll give you the details on that when you get with us, and I'll show you how that works. But nothing better than having a free place to stay here up to a month. There are some details I need to go over with you on that before you come. And again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the right of your screen right here before you leave, and you'll get new videos automatically as they come out. And I would like to hear from you. If you got a question or comment, put it below. And I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care.